For privacy reasons, names and places have been changed. This story is inspired by true events.
On the evening of September 15, 2005, 30-year-old Lucas Armand set out from his expedition base camp deep in Pará, Brazil, to document ancient petroglyphs along an igarapé off the Xingu River. He never returned. Despite an extensive search by his boatman, Tadeu Ramos, and fixer Bruna Carvalho, Lucas Armand vanished without a trace, swallowed by the dense Amazon rainforest. For 20 agonizing years, his family lived with unbearable uncertainty, clinging to a fading hope. Then in early 2025, a startling discovery was made. A mud-caked point-and-shoot camera, recovered from a root tangle deep within a seasonal river cut. This is the complete investigation into what happened to Lucas Armand. Before we continue, let us know where you're watching from, and if you enjoy this content, consider liking and subscribing to our channel. Now let's continue. The Amazon rainforest, a colossal, verdant expanse, operates by its own ancient laws, a realm of both breathtaking beauty and relentless peril. Its impenetrable canopy conceals untold secrets, while its intricate network of waterways, known locally as igarapés, possesses an uncanny ability to swallow the unwary. In 2005, deep within the Brazilian state of Pará, a specific igarapé, a narrow tributary winding off the formidable Xingu River, became the silent stage for a chilling and inexplicable mystery. Into this untamed wilderness stepped Lucas Armand, a 30-year-old expedition blogger whose digital chronicles had garnered a dedicated international following. Driven by an insatiable curiosity and a profound desire to document and share the world's most remote cultures and unexplored territories, Armand pursued discovery with almost singular focus. His ambition extended beyond mere observation. He sought to illuminate the unseen, to bring hidden wonders to a global audience. On that fateful day, his specific objective was to document a series of ancient petroglyphs, intricate carvings etched into the smooth rock faces along the igarapé's banks. He believed these prehistoric markings, once properly photographed and catalogued, would offer a captivating glimpse into a forgotten past, a significant cultural treasure. As the tropical sun began its slow, deliberate descent, painting the western sky in fleeting hues of orange and deep purple, the jungle underwent a profound transformation. The vibrant light of day gave way to an encroaching, oppressive gloom. The air grew thick with the rising chorus of nocturnal life. This transition from day to dusk brought with it an increasing challenge, reduced visibility and deepening shadows. Yet Lucas, his camera gear secured, prepared for his evening trek to the petroglyphs. Seemingly undeterred, he set out from the makeshift riverside camp, a solitary figure venturing into the dimming light, following the winding, unpredictable course of the igarapé. His last known position was somewhere between two distinct river bends, a stretch of water bordered by an almost impenetrable wall of foliage and ancient trees. The precise moment of his disappearance remains undefined, a seamless, terrifying transition from an active, living presence to an unsettling, absolute absence. Back at camp, as the last vestiges of twilight faded into the absolute darkness of the Amazonian night, an unsettling silence began to grow. His experienced boatman, Tadeu Ramos, and his local fixer, Bruna Carvalho, initially dismissed his prolonged absence, accustomed to Armand's deep immersion in his work. However, as minutes stretched into hours, and the night deepened without any sign of his return, their initial patience slowly morphed into a creeping unease, then into a stark and chilling realization. Lucas Armand had not returned. The profound mystery of his vanishing had, at that moment, truly begun. The initial unease among Tadeu Ramos and Bruna Carvalho quickly escalated into frantic action. As the first light of dawn pierced the dense canopy, cutting through the lingering shadows, a desperate search was launched. Tadeu, intimately familiar with the igarapé's currents and hidden nooks, navigated his small boat through every accessible channel, while Bruna, leveraging her local connections, alerted authorities in the nearest small settlement. Within hours, local police and specialized search teams, accustomed to the Amazon's unforgiving nature, joined the effort, their numbers growing as the gravity of the situation became clear. However, the Amazon presented an immediate and formidable adversary. The sheer scale of the wilderness was overwhelming, a labyrinth of dense jungle, an almost impenetrable wall of vegetation that swallowed sound and sight. The Igarapé itself, with its rapid, unpredictable currents and countless hidden channels branching off into the unknown, offered no easy answers. Each bend in the river looked identical to the last, and the ground underfoot was a treacherous mix of mud, tangled roots and submerged debris. The environment conspired to erase any trace, to absorb evidence without a whisper. As the days turned into a relentless week, hope began to wane. Search teams explored every conceivable theory. Had Lucas stumbled and fallen into the river, swept away by the current? Had he become disoriented in the deepening twilight, losing his way in the trackless jungle? The possibility of an encounter with dangerous wildlife, a constant threat in the Amazon, was also considered. Yet despite exhaustive efforts, no definitive path was found. There was no sign of his camera, his backpack, his personal effects, or any indication of a struggle. The jungle offered only silence. The investigation quickly hit an insurmountable wall. With no physical evidence, no witnesses, and no clear direction, the initial surge of activity began to dissipate. The vastness of the Amazon, a silent and indifferent witness, eventually forced the scaling back of operations. Resources became strained, and the sheer impossibility of searching every square meter of the sprawling wilderness became apparent. The case of Lucas Armand, a promising young explorer, began its slow, painful drift towards dormancy, leaving behind only unanswered questions and a profound sense of despair. The relentless march of time, indifferent to human suffering or unsolved mysteries, continued its inexorable sweep across the Amazon basin. Nearly 2 decades passed since Lucas Armand vanished into the embrace of the Igarapé in 2005. The initial frantic search, the desperate hope, and the eventual resignation had all faded into the annals of memory for many. But for those closest to Lucas, the passage of time brought no solace, only a deepening void. For his family, the silence was a constant, aching wound. The absence of a body, of any definitive answer, meant a perpetual state of limbo, a grief perpetually denied its natural conclusion. Tadeu Ramos and Bruna Carvalho, forever marked by the event, carried the weight of unanswered questions, haunted by the what-ifs of that fateful evening. Every rustle in the canopy, every ripple on the water, seemed to whisper a secret they could not decipher. The Amazon, a silent and indifferent giant, held its counsel. It is a place that readily reclaims its secrets, where the jungle's dense embrace can swallow an individual whole, leaving no trace. Countless disappearances in this vast wilderness remain unsolved, feeding the legend of its unforgiving nature, a testament to its power to both sustain and destroy. Lucas Armand's case became another entry in this grim ledger, a chilling reminder of humanity's fragile place within its untamed heart. The official investigation, once a flurry of activity, had long since become a cold file. The reports, once meticulously compiled, now gathered dust, a tragic footnote in the annals of explorers lost to the wild. The initial resources had been exhausted, the leads had run dry, and the sheer impossibility of finding a single person in such an immense and dynamic environment had forced its closure. The case had drifted into dormancy, a testament to the power of the wilderness to obscure and to forget. Life, in its stubborn resilience, moved forward around the chasm Lucas had left. The Igarapé continued its winding course, the canopy remained green, and the world outside the Amazon continued its relentless pace. But for Lucas's family, and for Tadeu and Bruna, the shadow of his vanishing remained, a permanent scar on their memories, a stark and constant reminder of the young man who had ventured into the unknown and never returned. 20 years had brought no resolution, only the enduring, gnawing uncertainty. Then, almost 2 decades after the Amazon had seemingly swallowed Lucas Armand whole, the impenetrable veil of its secrecy was, for a fleeting moment, unexpectedly lifted. The case, long dormant and resigned to the cold files, was dramatically reopened not by a new lead or a confession, but by an improbable act of chance. Deep within the very Igarapé where Lucas had vanished, a local fisherman, navigating a rarely used channel during a period of unusually low water, made a discovery that would shatter 2 decades of silence. Embedded within a dense tangle of roots along the riverbank, caked in layers of river mud and organic debris, lay a small, dark object. It was a point-and-shoot camera, its once vibrant casing now faded and eroded by years of exposure to the elements. Its recovery from such a hostile, dynamic environment after so much time was nothing short of miraculous. The destructive forces of the Amazon, its floods, its currents, its ceaseless decay, had somehow failed to entirely consume this one vital piece of evidence. This mud-cake device represented the first tangible link to Lucas Armand since his disappearance. For 20 years there had been no trace, no whisper, no object to confirm his presence beyond the initial reports. Now this camera, an artifact of his final journey, suddenly appeared, sparking a renewed wave of hope and intense, almost disbelieving interest among authorities and those who had long mourned his loss. It was an unexpected lifeline thrown across a vast expanse of time and despair. A collective breath was held. Could this truly be Lucas's camera? And if so, after 2 decades submerged and exposed, could anything at all be recovered from its internal memory? The questions hung heavy in the air, tinged with a fragile hope that dared not fully bloom, tempered by the long history of disappointment. The odds of data survival were astronomically low, yet the mere existence of the camera offered a glimmer, a possibility that had been absent for so long. Recognizing its immense potential, the camera was handled with extreme care, immediately secured and transported under a strict chain of custody. It was a delicate artifact, a fragile key that might, against all expectations, unlock the truth behind Lucas Armand's vanishing. Its journey would lead it from the depths of the Amazonian wilderness to the sterile, controlled environment of a forensic laboratory, where highly specialized experts would attempt the painstaking task of coaxing its secrets from within. The discovery of the mud-caked camera instantly reignited the dormant investigation into Lucas Armand's disappearance. The focus, which for 2 decades had been a fruitless search for the man himself, now shifted entirely to this singular, fragile piece of evidence. It was no longer a question of where Lucas might be, but rather what secrets this device might hold about his final moments. The cold case, once a symbol of the Amazon's impenetrable mystery, had suddenly been infused with a new, urgent purpose. The task of recovering any data from a point-and-shoot camera that had endured 2 decades of submersion and exposure to the Amazon's relentless, corrosive environment was daunting. Water damage, organic decay, and the sheer passage of time meant the internal components were likely severely degraded. This was not a job for conventional forensics. It demanded highly specialized expertise, a delicate balance of technological skill and historical understanding of electronic degradation. Into this complex challenge stepped Dr. Nia Patel, an acclaimed image analyst whose reputation for salvaging data from severely damaged devices preceded her. Dr. Patel was tasked with the painstaking and often frustrating work of attempting to extract any information from the camera's memory. Her laboratory became the new front line of the investigation, a sterile environment where science would attempt to decipher the wilderness's cryptic message. Even after 20 years, a new race against time had begun. The camera's internal components, though miraculously preserved to some extent, remained incredibly fragile. Each attempt at data recovery carried the inherent risk of further damage, potentially destroying the last remaining link to Lucas Armand. Dr. Patel understood that her window of opportunity, however slim, might close at any moment, making every careful manipulation, every diagnostic test, absolutely critical. Her initial work involved a meticulous, multi-stage process. First, the camera underwent a thorough, delicate cleaning to remove the layers of mud, silt, and organic matter without disturbing its fragile internal structure. This was followed by a stabilization phase, using specialized techniques to halt further corrosion or decay. Only then could Dr. Patel begin the intricate attempts to access the memory card or internal storage. The technical complexities were immense, requiring custom tools and innovative approaches to bypass circuits that had long since failed, all in the hope of coaxing a single byte of data from the device. The sterile hum of Dr. Nia Patel's laboratory, a stark contrast to the vibrant chaos of the Amazon, suddenly gave way to a quiet, almost reverent stillness. After weeks of painstaking, delicate work, of coaxing life from inert circuits and attempting to bridge a 2-decade chasm of degradation, a pivotal moment arrived. Through a combination of custom-built interfaces and proprietary data reconstruction algorithms, Dr. Patel successfully bypassed the corroded memory controller. A fragmented yet undeniably significant stream of data began to emerge from the camera's severely damaged memory card. It was a triumph against overwhelming odds, a fragile thread pulled from the brink of digital oblivion. Among the recovered files, a single image stood out, the last photograph ever captured by Lucas Armand's camera. It was a haunting, stark revelation. The image depicted a dense, shadowy expanse of foliage dominated by the intricate weave of palm fronds. But from within this natural screen, 2 distinct reflective points of light pierced the gloom, observing the photographer with an unnerving intensity. They were eyes, unmistakably animal, glinting with an unknown intent from behind nature's curtain. The sheer immediacy of the image, the sense of being watched, was chilling. This single photograph became the new epicenter of the investigation. Dr. Patel immediately turned her attention to its embedded metadata. While GPS coordinates were absent from the basic point-and-shoot model, the timestamp was miraculously intact and accurate. A precise record of the date and time the image was captured, placing Lucas deep within the Igarapé just moments before his disappearance. This provided the crucial temporal anchor that had been missing for so long. To translate this timestamp into a precise geographical location, Dr. Patel employed an innovative forensic technique, the analysis of historical flood height models for the Xingu River basin. These sophisticated hydrological simulations, utilizing satellite data and historical rainfall records, allowed for a reconstruction of the Igarapé's exact water levels and topographical features as they existed in 2005. By cross-referencing the image's timestamp with these flood models, a startling conclusion emerged. Lucas Armand was not on the main Igarapé, nor was he in a permanently charted tributary. He was in a seasonal cut, a temporary channel or overflow tributary that only became navigable or even visible during specific higher flood levels. In 2005, this cut existed, a hidden pathway through the dense jungle. But over the subsequent 2 decades, as water levels fluctuated and vegetation reclaimed its territory, this seasonal cut had either completely disappeared or become so overgrown and shallow that it was utterly unrecognizable and impassable during the initial search efforts. This revolutionary insight finally explained the impenetrable mystery of where Lucas had vanished, revealing a landscape that had literally shifted beneath the feet of his initial rescuers. The revelation of the seasonal cut, coupled with the chilling final photograph, allowed for a new, albeit incomplete, reconstruction of Lucas Armand's last moments. He had ventured into a temporary channel, a hidden artery of the Igarapé, drawn perhaps by the promise of unexplored petroglyphs or simply the allure of the unknown. There, in the dimming light, he encountered something. The reflective eyes, captured with unnerving clarity behind woven palm fronds, suggested a close proximity to an animal, likely a predator, observing him from the dense undergrowth. Whether he was startled, lost his footing, or was directly attacked remains speculative, but the image places him at the precipice of an encounter in a location that would soon vanish from the map. His disappearance was not merely a matter of getting lost in the vastness, but of being lost within a transient landscape, observed by an unseen presence. For Lucas's family, the precise knowledge of his final location, even without a recovery, offered a painful yet profound form of closure. The 2 decades of agonizing uncertainty were replaced by a coherent, if tragic, narrative. Tadeu Ramos and Bruna Carvalho, who had carried the burden of his disappearance for so long, could now understand why their initial, exhaustive searches had failed. The jungle had not simply swallowed him, it had actively concealed him within a temporary, shifting reality. The what-ifs began to recede, replaced by a clearer, though somber, understanding. Lucas Armand's story became a stark reminder of the Amazon's dynamic and often unforgiving nature. Its landscape is not static. It breathes and shifts, revealing and concealing with the ebb and flow of its mighty rivers. The hidden dangers are not always apparent, even to experienced explorers. His journey underscored the critical importance of understanding these transient features, the unseen currents and seasonal cuts that can appear and vanish without warning, transforming familiar terrain into deadly traps. Ultimately, Lucas Armand's legacy transcended the tragedy of his vanishing. His ambition to document the unseen had, in a twisted irony, led to his own documentation of an unseen danger. His camera, a silent witness recovered against all odds, proved that technology, even decades later, could pierce the veil of the Amazon's deepest mysteries. The Igarapé continues its winding course, its waters still holding countless secrets. The jungle remains a place of profound allure and terrifying indifference, a testament to its power to both reveal and conceal. While the final, precise moments of Lucas Armand may forever be shrouded in the shadows of those palm fronds, the story of his disappearance, now partially illuminated, stands as a powerful testament to the enduring human drive for discovery and the immense, humbling power of the natural world.